about it.
Yeah, Milan not happy in the end, but in the end, it's Bayer Leverkusen 1. AC Milan 0. Gab Marcotti, Robbo still with us. Heck, Bayer Leverkusen will be delighted with 3 points.
Absolutely, they will. And up until, I would say, the 65th, 70th minute, it was only really one team on the field, and that was Bayer Leverkusen. To be honest with you, Leverkusen should have put this game out of sight, certainly in the first half, and still they had a couple opportunities in the second half. Frimpong had one. Florian Wirtz also had one in which Maignan comes up with a save. What I would say is that the approach of Bayer Leverkusen for the last 20, 25 minutes or so of the game was so similar to what we saw from them against Bayern Munich in the weekend, is that instead of doing something that is natural to them, that is having possession of the ball, which they had for the most part in this match, instead of taking that possession into the attacking half, instead of creating more opportunities and just keeping danger away from their own goal, they started taking a step back. Maybe it's something that Milan did, that maybe the substitutions changed the personality of Milan on the field, but it was more, in my opinion anyways, it was more about Bayer Leverkusen taking a step back, as they did against Bayern Munich. And so they allow Milan to grow in the game, to pressure to grow in the game, created a couple of chances here and there. I don't think Milan did enough. I think Leverkusen deserved to win this game. Just in the performance in the first 45 minutes, I thought that Leverkusen were far superior. That carried on for the first 20 minutes of the second half as well. I think Leverkusen deserved 3 points.
Do you agree, Gab?
Yeah, I mean, on the balance, you could make the point, but I don't think a draw would have been a scandal here in any way, shape, or form, and not just because of the penalty incident. What would concern me a little bit is what we're seeing from Bayer Leverkusen. You know, we saw it in the against Bayern Munich when they decided to shut up shop and sit deep and absorb the pressure and try to be counterattacking side. Well, they did it again, as Ali said here. I'd say probably from about the hour mark when Morata came on, he really gave Milan a lift. Milan really chased the game, and the last half hour was played entirely in Bayer Leverkusen's sort of defensive third. And this is so unlike Xabi Alonso. I don't think it's a great way to play because, had Morata been more accurate or had Radetzky not made that tremendous save earlier, then they would have dropped 2 points at home. And I think, this matters in a competition like this one. Paulo Fonseca said that this was Milan's best performance of the season. I'm not quite going to go that far, unless he means the best performance in the Champions League, but that's a very low bar given what a stinker they threw up against Liverpool. But I think certainly there's a ton of positives other than the results you can take away if you're Milan from this game.
Yeah, positives I get, Robbo, but you're outplayed for 70 minutes. It's a 90-minute game. You just can't hang your hat on the last 20 minutes.
Well, I was surprised by the way that AC Milan started the game. They allowed Bayer Leverkusen far too much space. They allowed them far too much possession. They defended deeply. They didn't get their fullbacks high up the field. They didn't really get anything in behind for Tammy Abraham to run after. So it was a difficult sort of first 60 minutes, I would say, from Milan. And then you have to go, did then Bayer Leverkusen allow them back into the game by adopting the tactics they did, which was being very narrow, allowing Milan's fullbacks to get forward and start attacks. Then they had lots of shots and crosses into the box. So there's a bit of both. AC Milan, I thought, for the first 60 minutes were fairly poor, and Bayer Leverkusen were good, and it all changed round with the substitutions and the way the both teams then approached the game.
Go on, Gab.
No, I completely agree with that. I think we mustn't forget too that Fonseca has been in charge for 6-7 games, whereas Xabi Alonso had arguably the best or second best team in Europe last season. I'll say second best because I don't want who to get angry with me, but they're right up there, right? So I think he's had a torrid time thus far. I thought it was interesting that he chose to play Ruben Loftus-Cheek in midfield, foregoing that 4-2-4 formation, keeping Morata, as somebody who came off the bench. Abraham struggled, and maybe this is part of the reason why. But I think when the Leverkusen goal came, it came I think minute 53, 54 in the game. So Milan could also say yes, they're taking a lot of shots, but we're going to get them in the second half. That first half strategy worked. And in the end, when you look at it, possessions about 50-50, shots on goal, I think 16 shots each. Leverkusen definitely the better chances. So maybe you can argue that you can't argue that, they deserve the 3 points. But I think as an approach, I don't think it was entirely incorrect from Milan.